Hello, welcome to White Davy Gardening and Worm Farm. If you like my channel, please press the subscribe button. So this is my European Nightcrawler worm bin that is in my garage, and it has been at least 2 months since I did a video on these worms. Oh my goodness, look at the content of this bin. It is down below quarter now. Still moist, and since I gave the last update, I've only watered it once. I can see I have 2 plants growing in there. Look like pumpkin. It is still very moist. Oh, see a little baby there. See quite a few babies actually. There's 2 of them there. So I know that if I go through this content, I'm gonna be seeing a lot of them. But I'm not going to disturb them that much. And for the first time since I started this bin, I am starting to see castings. So that's good. Lots of babies. And there's... So as you can see, if you recall, for those of you who saw the previous video that I did, when I went through the bin, most of the worms, or at least half of the worms that I put in here had died. Because remember, the bin froze in February. But there was tons of cocoons in here, which was pretty exciting to see. But most of those cocoons have now hatched. They still seem to have a lot of food in here though. This is skin from, I'm not sure what skin this belonged to, but I see cucumber seeds. No, those are not cucumbers. Those look more like melon seeds. They look like Ami melon seeds. Okay, so maybe that's what I see growing when I'm saying pumpkin, because I don't recall putting pumpkin in here. So maybe what's growing is actually melon. Speaking of which, I don't have any melon. I only have 2 varieties of melon planted, so I need to get on top of that. But yes, lots of hatchlings. Can you see all those little hatchlings? Oh, what's that? And this little portion is full of worms. but I don't want to disturb them much, so I'm not going to be opening up every little thing. The bottom of the bin is still very wet, but I think it's just right. There is no water settled in there as there was in the previous video, and this is loaded with babies and mature worms. So most of what I'm seeing seem to be leaves. They still haven't processed the potato peels. As you can see, it even starts to grow. So it seems as if, oh, look at all those babies. I should have brought out my light so that you guys can get a better view. But this thing is just streaming with babies. Oh, there's a cocoon. And it is changing color too, which means it's getting close to being hatched. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's good. But most of what I'm seeing, it seems as if they have gone through, based on the section that I'm looking at anywhere, or the side that I'm looking at, they have gone through most of the food that I have in here. So the leaves that I had at the last time, they haven't finished processing those yet. Throughout the bin, I'm seeing a lot of the melon seeds. Look at that tiny little one. There's one reason why I don't like to go through this bin, and it's because I have to take the content out of it to see what's going on, and then I stand the risk of not finding some of the worms, the smaller worms, the younger worms. Oh, these ones has really tiny hatchlings, like very tiny. So I'm not going to open this little portion up because I don't want to harm them. That's a nice size guy. Okay, so it seems as if all the food scraps that I put in here have been processed, except for the potato peels. Root vegetables in worm bins usually take a long time to break down, because if it is a root vegetable, then when you put it in the worm bin, it's just gonna feel as if it is in the ground, and so it may try to grow. I was gonna say the bin doesn't smell anymore, and the portion that I was taking out doesn't, but this bin is a little bit moisture than, this bit in my hand is a little bit moisture than the rest, and it slightly smells, and by smell I mean it carries a foul odor, because worm bins do smell, but it usually carry an earthy smell. But I guess that bit smells because it is directly in the center of the bin. But these worms seem to be quite happy. Oh my goodness. Whoa. Whoa. I don't think these little ones here that I'm looking at now are from any of the eggs that I saw 2 months ago when I did that update. And the reason is because of how small they are, because these cocoons take about 21 to 28 days to hatch for the European Nightcrawler worms. And the size of these hatchlings, they are very young, like days old. So there's really no reason for me to go through this bin or to continue taking out the content, but I want to give it a little bit of air. Yes, I want to give it some air, so for that reason I'll just take everything out and then put it back in. Yeah, so I'm pretty happy. I'm seeing castings now. The previous time when I look in here, it would just be the things that I put in here. But because this bin has a lot of paper in here, so they still haven't finished processing the paper. They're almost done processing the leaves. As for all that food scraps that I put in here, the only thing I am seeing are the potato peels. Ooh, loaded with cocoons. I'm just loving this. Okay, so I don't think I'm going to take out any more. I'm just gonna move it around in the bin. Okay, so the larger set of worms tend to love, oh, face the little buggers. The larger worms tend to love the bottom of the bin. Just gonna try and bury some of the potato peels so that it can be kept moist, because a lot of it is on the surface, or at least some of it is on the surface, and I need it to be moist so that it can break down faster. I do know it's going to be in there for quite a while yet, because it is a root vegetable. And here comes the part that I don't like. After putting back this content, there's a strong possibility that there will be tiny hatchlings on the plastic that I'm putting these things on. And when they're that tiny, you can't lift them up and put them back in here. The bin is wet, or at least it has enough moisture, just enough moisture. So I don't want to wash the plastic off to save those things and then end up with too much moisture in the bin. And I don't want to add any paper to the bin because they still haven't processed the papers that I have in here. Okay, so I think I'm gonna give these guys some food scraps. Since as I don't have any problem with mice getting into this bin, so I'm just gonna put the food scraps on the surface and they can do what they want with it. So I have some melon and its rind. Oh, this food scraps smell so good because I have some purple Japanese yam in here that I bought from the store, but when I bought it they look okay, but when I cut into it they were not okay. They look as if they were being eaten by creatures, probably some potato worms. So because of that, I have to give it to my worms. Now if I give it to my worms unprocessed, then what's gonna be happening is that it's gonna take long for the worms to break it down. So I run it through the microwave, and you might notice that I have pumpkin seeds putting in there, or squash seeds. I run these through the microwave as well, and when I'm putting them through the microwave, I don't just put it in for a minute or two. I put it in long enough to make sure that it is fully processed or fully cooked, so that there is no chance of them growing in my worm bin. I have some corn cobs that I cut small. I was going to blend them but didn't get to it. I also have jackfruit peel, or whatever you want it's called, and so I just cut it up into little cubes because that's going to make it easier for them to process as well. I'm not going to be giving them everything from this bin. Okay, so I think that's all I'm going to be giving them. I have to save a few of these sweet potatoes, purple sweet potatoes or Japanese yam, because I have plans for these. Okay, I think I'm going to empty the content of this into the bin. But first I need to put the bottom cover on. Ooh la la. I'm gonna need to wash that. Okay, so it's good to see that the worms are doing well. The eggs, or the cocoons, they have hatched. So now I've got lots of European night crawlers running around in this bin. Okay, so if you enjoyed this video and you would like to see more updates on what's going on with these European night crawlers, please take a moment to give me a thumbs up. You can leave a comment in the section below. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe and turn on your notification for more updates like these. Thank you so much for watching, and have yourself a wonderful day. Yeah man, a time for grow.